If you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am The Wiz! And I am here today to review the 2022 Best Picture Oscar nominee, The Fabelmans, starring Michelle Williams, Paul Dano, Gabriel LaBelle, David Lynch, Seth Rogen, and Judd Hirsch, directed by Steven Spielberg. I'm thinking about this right now, and I was about to go on a whole spiel about biopics. I think I've done it before in other reviews. Biopics are pretty easy to make popular because they're always about somebody that the audience is aware of, or that has a intimate relationship, or just a fondness, or just despises. The Fabelmans isn't one of those. It's semi-autobiographical. From what I have read, is Steven Spielberg made this film. It's essentially about his life, but he changes a lot of things in it to not make it about his life, but pieces of it are about him and how he grew his love of film and how his family dynamic was when he was younger. The other thing about this movie is I don't really think it's a coming-of-age movie. It is partly that. It's not like the main thrust of the film. This is much more of a family drama than I was expecting. The marketing and the way that people are talking about it, I think, was kind of off, because one thing about the film that is very clear when you watch it is they are focusing on the family drama, but that's the main thrust of the film. The budding of an artist, of a filmmaker, as in Sammy in this movie, is really second place in this one. It's really not the main focus, which I was kind of surprised by. But I will get more into that as I do the review. So let's get into it. Let's get into the review of The Fabelmans, directed by Steven Spielberg. Before we get to the review, let's get into the plot. Basically, this film is about the Fabelmans. The mother, Mitzi, played by Michelle Williams. The father, Bert, played by Paul Dano. And it focuses specifically on Sammy, who's played by Gabriel LaBelle when he's a teenager. It's more focused, I think, on the mother and father than the son. But those are the three main characters in this film. And what makes the son interesting is that he, in the beginning of the film, grows to love and be obsessed with film and filmmaking. And they show that throughout the film in bits and pieces. But really, the film is about the mother and father and how the family works and the drama between those two people. That's basically what I think the film is about. All right, so let me get to my 3 points on The Fabelmans. My first point is this is overlong and slowly paced. So I don't mind a slowly paced film. I don't mind something that takes its time to build into something. But The Fabelmans is a 2.5 hour film about a family that, I gotta be honest, is not that interesting. They go into all these different kind of side tangents into the film that I don't think really works very well, or it could have been cut to get to the main point of the film. I felt the length throughout the entire point in the film. Like, this film drags in certain points. When things start happening in the film, the length really hurts the pacing and the emotional resonance that you're going to get from the film. So it just ponders along as the film goes, to a point where I honestly just sat there towards the end of the film going, okay, is it over yet? Like, Jesus Christ, get to the point. Like, and that's a bad thing to do, especially for a film that is supposed to be about characters and character development. When the whole point of that is to get to know the characters and you're bored and you're not interested, that is a bad thing to go through. I felt every bit of the length of this film. It was painful at times. All right, my second point. This is more family drama than Birth of an Artist. I really feel like when this film came out last year, and when it was starting to get Oscar contention, the main point of it was about Steven Spielberg, how he gained a love of filmmaking and film, and the side thing was the family drama. That's incorrect. The family drama, I think, is the main focus of the film, but there are pieces of the film that are about Sammy and his love of filmmaking. The family drama, I don't think, works very well in this, and it really hampers the Birth of an Artist plot. It is super obvious what's going to happen about a few minutes into the film. Like, literally a few minutes into the film, you know, oh, that's going to happen. And I think the film wanted it to be a shock when the eventual event happens. But when you're watching it and you're looking at it and going, oh, well, I know this is going to happen right away, you're just waiting for that to happen instead of buying into the emotional drama of the film. And it makes the other characters, especially the father in this film, look incredibly dumb when it eventually happens. I just really felt like the way that they made the film and they started all the drama in the film is way too obvious. And because it was so obvious, it really hurt the emotion of the film itself. I think that the way that the film is shot and the way they do the drama is not bad, but it's not great either. And let me get into the artist part of the film, the one about Sammy. It's fine, but there's not enough depth to it to really get into exactly why he loves film so much and what gets him attached and what gets him to feel the way he does. There's a small scene with Judd Hirsch and Gabriel LaBelle where Judd Hirsch has a monologue talking about being an artist. And it hits pretty well. I think he does a very good job. But that's about it. That's all you really get in the film. I think it really shortchanged Sammy's arc in this movie, which is fine. But then, again, that arc kind of gets sidetracked too, turning into a school drama. It's kind of like the film didn't want to go full bore into the birth of an artist archetype, which I think it should have, but it just didn't do that. Or it placed too much importance thinking that people will get where it's coming from, but maybe I'm dumb, but I did not get that out of this movie. So I think that the family drama was more of a focus, and I think it was a bad move on that part. And my third part, LaBelle and Hirsch are good in the movie. Williams is uneven. I think overall the performances are good. I just don't think the script was really that great in the film. I think it did the actors a disservice. LaBelle and Hirsch are good. Hirsch is literally in this film for about 3 or 4 minutes. But to be honest, I think he was the highlight of the film. I thought he was particularly good in that 3 minutes. He was very interesting in that. LaBelle did a pretty good job as Sammy. I liked his character. I liked how he portrayed him. I just don't think he was given much to work with, aside from being angry, brooding, and then going through standard teenage drama stuff, which is fine. It's perfectly fine. My main issue is Williams' performance. Now, I want to say that I think Williams did a very good job in this film. I think the script did her dirty. But because the script is not great, I think they had a big issue with Mitzi when it came to fashioning her character. Here's why I think that. The movie portrays Bert and Mitzi as Bert as a very practical, a person that is very by the book. He is a very buttoned up. He is a very uptight a loving person, a kind person, but a very uptight person. Mitzi is more of a creative free spirit. She is more of a person who is very performative, very dramatic. When Williams is doing that, she is very good as that character. But when the twist or the change in the story happens, you are led to believe that Mitzi is going through kind of a mental health issue that she needs to work out. The problem is that the performance is exactly the same when she's going through that mental health crisis than she was in the beginning of the film. There really wasn't a subtle change as to Mitzi and her evolution at that point. Some of you may argue this and say, well, actually, there's a clear scene here that shows that. And yeah, that was pretty damn obvious. But without that scene, you would have no idea she was having a crisis. You would just think, like, oh, it's Mitzi being Mitzi in that point. The fact that they had to go to that obvious of a scene is something where I think that it really did not help the character in that film. I really did not think so. And it was pretty obvious what was going to happen as the film went along, I think. And again, it really drains the emotion out of the film itself. I think the performers were good. I think Michelle Williams was good, and I think to a certain extent she deserved the Oscar nomination. But on the other hand, I think the script is what hurt her performance in this film, because I don't think it gave her enough to dig into to get a more emotional impact from Mitzi in this film. So all the actors are good. I liked LaBelle and Hirsch the most, and I thought Williams was sadly uneven, but not her fault. Dano, I usually really like Paul Dano, but I couldn't wait to get him off screen. I didn't really like him so much. So who do I recommend this for? I recommend this for people if you like family dramas. This is 0.1 a family drama. If you like your family dramas over long, I say go for it too. And if you are a diehard Spielberg nut, yeah, I mean, if you are, you've already seen this, I think. So if you haven't checked it out and you just really like Spielberg, I'd say check it out. Spielberg's weird, actually. I guess I go on a little bit of a rant here. Spielberg has all the respect that any filmmaker like him should have. Like, I think Spielberg is a really good director. But I don't think there are a lot of Spielberg nuts. Like, there are people who are obsessed with Kubrick and love Christopher Nolan and Paul Thomas Anderson. Does Spielberg get that? I'm not entirely sure. I'm really not sure. I think Spielberg is one of those weird zones where people who love film will not appreciate him until he's dead, until he's gone and he's not making films anymore. That's when they'll start appreciating him. Other than that, I hear a lot of arguments of people say, oh yeah, he's good. And there's others saying, oh, he's so overrated. I think he's great. I think he's a great director. You don't make as many great films as he has without being a great director. I don't think he gets the same love that other directors have. Who do I not recommend this for? I do not recommend this for someone if you are expecting a Spielberg biopic. It's a semi-autobiographical film. I don't think that's the main thrust of the film. And if that's what you're expecting, I would say maybe steer clear or gauge your expectations. And I would not recommend this if you are not interested in a near 3-hour film about family drama. This is almost 3 hours long. It's almost 3 hours long. I gotta be honest, I felt every minute of it. That is not a feeling that you want when you're watching the film. I watched Gone with the Wind about a couple months ago, a 4-hour film. And I didn't feel the length of it at all. I thought it was a really good movie, very entertaining. I felt all 2 hours and 30 minutes of this film. All of it. I gotta be honest, I was checking the time throughout the entire film. I got bored. I was really like, oh man, when is this gonna pick up? And it really never did. Be prepared for a 3-hour film if you are really interested in watching this. Overall, I am not recommending The Fabelmans. I am actually pretty disappointed by this. Again, I like Spielberg as a filmmaker. He makes amazing films. He makes really good popcorn films. He makes really good dramas. One of my favorite films of his ever, I think, is Munich. A film that doesn't get a lot of talk, but really deserves a lot of praise for what he did in that movie. But I also am a big fan of Minority Report, a really good movie. Like, he is a fantastic director no matter what he does in this. And I think that's why he doesn't get a lot of praise. But this one, I think, is a big fumble. It might be my least liked Spielberg film. I have to really think about this because there are a number of Spielberg films I have not seen. But this is definitely one where I came out of it really disappointed. I think the balance it struck was really off. It hurt the pacing of the film. And I think the way that they edited the scenes to go back and forth between the family drama and Sammy was really uneven. I mean, really uneven. There are large chunks of family drama, and then they sprinkle on Sammy. And there's a large chunk of Sammy, and then they put a little bit of the family drama. There really was an off cadence to the film that I think really hurt the pacing. So overall, I do not recommend The Fabelmans. I am actually pretty stunned how much I do not like this film. Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. Okay, so for next time, Thursday, I'll be reviewing Everything is Illuminated, directed by Liev Schreiber. Saturday, me and Kim are reviewing An American Tail, directed by Don Bluth. And the following week, we are going to be doing Christmas movies. That time of the year, so it's that time where we start. I think a lot of people are doing it right now. I know a lot of people who are into Hallmark movies. They're watching a lot of Christmas movies. So if you are into that spirit of Christmas, like I definitely am, you're watching Christmas movies right now. So Tuesday, I'm going to watch a Christmas movie that I have not seen. I know a lot of people have, and I am not a fan usually of the main actor of the film. This might stun some people, I don't know. But I never particularly liked him. But I keep hearing that this is a Christmas classic that everyone loves, so I think I'll give it a shot. And that is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That's right, I'm not a Chevy Chase fan. I really am not. I don't get the humor. Well, I get the humor, I just don't find him very funny. Except for like in parts of Community. I thought he was really pretty funny there. But other than that, I'm not a big fan of him. That's why I really never got into National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation or anything National Lampoon's when he's in it. It's my take on that. So tune in next time where I review Everything is Illuminated, directed by Liev Schreiber, American Tail, directed by Don Bluth, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I don't know who directed it. Crap. Whoops. I am The Wiz, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.